Yourself, there are whatever comments, concerns you'd like to say.
Yeah, I don't know who knows me here, so I guess for me it's becomes monotonous introducing myself, but especially in Queens. And
Stop talking.
Quiet.
Please
quiet there. Thank you.
anyhow, I grew up in Queens. I'm a born and bred New Yorker. As the president said, my name is Josh Eisen. I happen to have a PhD. I can't prescribe any medications. Still, if you want, you can call me doctor, otherwise call me Josh. Perhaps one day you'll call me senator. I was born and bred in New York. I love this state. I love the city. I've never really lived anywhere else. And in fact, until I was in third grade, I lived right here on the other side of Forest Park on Park Lane South. And I was there until third grade, and then we moved to, I guess, Flushing, right near Union Turnpike and 173rd Street. So I'm quite familiar with the area, and actually happy to be back, and I'm happy to see that some of the pizza stores and bagel shops are still around, like Utopia and some of the others. My father, speaking of immigration, he was an immigrant. He came here. He was a Holocaust survivor. He then moved back to Hungary, never joined the Communist Party, escaped communism, and came here in '57. And he built a life for himself, and one of which he was very proud, and obviously so was I. And I grew up with a very clear sense of what my values are. And I'm running for office because I wake up every day and I ask myself this question, and it's a question Republicans should start asking themselves. What are our values? What are our values? Especially when we live in a country where it's very hard to agree on what our values are and what our legal systems should be if we can't even agree on what words mean. If we can't agree on what a border is, we can't agree on what a man or a woman are, and that's the problem with the radical left. Everything is up for debate, and there is a sanctity to our legal systems, there's a sanctity to the United States, and there should be a sanctity to the approach that we have toward our laws. We can think about what our values are. I'll say this, and I won't belabor the point, but I think a Republican is somebody who does not believe in government intrusion, who believes that every law that's written out there should be reconsidered and deleted unless it's really necessary. A Republican looks at any new law, any new legislation, any new government intrusion into our lives as something to be resisted instinctively, unless there's good reason to add laws like congestion pricing or eliminating gas ovens or putting crazy textbooks in the schools. We should really hew to the Constitution, to the amendments, and to keeping laws simple and few. And those are my Republican values. Republicans, we're the kinds of people that if there's trouble, we call the sheriff. We don't want government patrolling our lives. We don't want somebody out there knocking on our door, the FBI, the CIA, the IRS. That's the way the radical left operates. They want to patrol every second of your life with teachers' unions and other unions and all sorts of patrol mechanisms. And we are Republicans. If we have a problem, we will call the sheriff. We will call somebody in. We will go to the doctor. We don't need somebody to tell us we need this doctor to come here and give us this injection and that injection and this treatment. These are our personal decisions. These are our values. What are our, I appreciate the applause. I'm not accustomed to getting them. Usually I get, when my kids yell at me, they're like, take me to the store, you know, so. But I appreciate it. But those are our values, and I'm sure I share them with you guys. We have real shared values, and I think if you go around the country and you go around the city and the state, we will realize that most people believe in God, most people believe in strong families, most people want to be part of strong communities. But the radical left, they don't like strong communities, they don't like strong individuals, they like strong and big government. They like to deconstruct communities. They want to destroy churches and synagogues and anything that resembles strong local authority. And I appreciate the question that you asked before about the issue of alternate side parking, because that is a great question, and it really, and with this I'll end, it addresses a fundamental question in the United States and in New York and everywhere. At what point does my authority end and the authority of the government begin to encroach. So when it comes to something like the airways, right, like air traffic control, I can't just fly my drone all over the place. An airplane could crash into it. I recognize that there's a need for a Federal Aviation Association agency. When it comes to cleaning the streets or allowing for streets to be taken care of, I think it would be really difficult to say every street should be taken care of by the local street. It just would be too inconsistent. The sanitation department's a city.
Same as the UFT with the schools and the hours they.
Right. So those are very big agencies, and again,
And they ran the government.
I'll let the other guy speak. But my point is that we need to be careful about large agencies, but at the same time, we have to recognize that each homeowner can't be responsible for the street in front of their house, right?
They already are. They already are.
No, and for the sidewalk and there are elements that are responsible for the house, and that's a real question. Where does it begin and where does it end? And the city and government should accommodate those beginnings and endings. To your point earlier, if somebody decides to build 50 units in a 1 acre, I'm like trying to do the math, like, you know, I live up in Westchester where people have 1 acre lots. I'm like, how do you fit 50 units, 200 potential individuals, sewage, plumbing, electricity? It's just not going to work. The toilets will flood up, the electricity will dim. But anyhow, your question's a great question, and we Republicans, we err on the side of, hey, let me handle it. But we're in a big country with the military, police departments, roads, highways, radios. I'll pass it along.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Zmich. I'm running for Congress in District 6 here in this area. It encompasses here Forest Hills, over to Ridgewood, over to Bayside. I am a 59-year resident of Queens. I am a union member who's retired 42 years with the Bricklayers Union. I built a lot of the schools with the SCA here from 1987 on. A lot of the schools that your kids or grandkids go to. I was a construction management, part of the management of them. And right now, being retired, we need to stand up for the people. I'm a husband, father. I have 6 kids all together between my wife and me, 3 stepchildren and 3 of my own. And the future of our country is at stake. And that's why I'm running. This is not about me. This is all about you and what we stand for and our values. What we fought for and what we worked for all our lives, the American dream, the United States Constitution. I am a war veteran from the first Gulf War. I did 8 years in the United States Army Reserve from 1987 to 1995. 6 years in, 2 years inactive. We got called to the first Gulf War, which is the last war that we actually won, okay? Without any of these idiots being in charge and what they're doing in the world, okay? Remember storming Norman Schwarzkopf? Who remembers him, huh? 3-day war. They heard I was coming, they all surrendered, you know what I mean? That's what it was like. We were getting ready to get on a plane, it was like, oh my God, Tom's coming. Oh, we better surrender. 750,000 Iraqis in 1 day, okay? These are the values and things that I felt growing up in my household. We need to take care of this country. It's we the people. We the people, the United States Constitution. Just to give you an example of what's going on in this country, just yesterday, I believe it was, okay, this open border situation with Mayorkas, the head of the DHS, they impeached him in the House. Chuck Schumer and all the regular people who've been voted in all these years voted to dismiss, and that's the end of it. But yet we had to put up with how many impeachments over the last couple of years and how many people going after Republicans, okay? When this guy's actually doing damage, destroying our Constitution, destroying our way of life by what he's doing, bending the rules and regulations of the DHS and the border down by Mexico and even northern Canada. They're coming from there and there. The Biden administration flying almost 400,000 people at your tax dollar. We need to end this. Grace Meng, representative of this area, hasn't said word, nothing. You don't hear nothing. We got Creedmoor, we got Glendale, we got the Glendale that's been there, and then we got Grand Avenue now. Another 15, who knows God how many more people. But I want to tell you something. Last week I was out there with the person who's running as a Democrat district leader. I forget his last name, but he was out there protesting in the Hyatt Hotel in the Regal Park. And strangely enough, we learned a lot because he came out and he's against this homeless shelter thing and a program for these illegals that are coming in. There is no program, there is nothing. It's just give me your money and we'll throw it at them and hopefully that'll solve the problem. Just like a typical Democrat thing that they've been doing all these years, okay? But what we found out, which is deeply disturbing to me, was like 2 blocks away where they want to put these 100 new migrants or whatever you want to, illegals, they're illegals, okay? Where they want to put them 2 blocks away on the other side of the Long Island Expressway is kind of like a quasi-homeless shelter type thing. They have housed in one building 32 level 4 child predators, pedophiles in one building in our area here, okay? What kind of crazy lunatic person would want to put that many criminal pedophiles that go after children in one building? Were they going to start their own union or something? This is the mentality of these Democrats and the people in charge. They're supposed to have, what, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees on how to deal with these criminals? And this is what they're doing? They are out of control. They are totally out of control with your tax dollars, spending it wherever the hell they feel like it. All right, these hotels, at least $373 a night for each one of these migrants. And they're coming up with more money from somewhere, I don't know where. But 6, 7 years ago, when we had 42,000 and 44,000 or so homeless on the street, families and everything, and veterans, they couldn't find no money under de Blasio. We had no money for nobody at all. Now, look, we got 175,000 on top of the 42,000 that was already homeless from outside the state coming in here, and now we find another $2.4 billion from somewhere to house these people. This is a federal issue. Grace Meng is a federal representative. This is a federal problem. Someone needs to speak out and see what's going on and stop this. Sanctuary city is not a law. It is not even a mandate. Okay, it's just a procedural regulation. Okay, it's not even that. We need to stop this. We need to get rid of every single incumbent that is in this whole area in Queens. That's what you need to do. Okay? And remember, my name is Tom Smith with a Z. So don't forget to vote because I will stand for you and we will fight this together. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Paul King. I'm running for Congress in District 5, which is everything from the other side of the street here on Union Turnpike, pretty much down to the Atlantic Ocean in Queens. I'm relatively new to politics, but I'm not naive. No one in this room is naive. We know when career politicians like Joe Biden and Gregory Meeks, my opponent, tell you something, that truth is optional. But when it comes to this migration mess, this disaster at the border, they're taking chutzpah to a brand new level. So Meeks has been in Congress 25 years, so he knows this can come to bite them in the butt come November. So what does he do? Does he come up with new legislation to solve the problem? Does anyone think he did? Absolutely not. Did he tell his pal Joe Biden to reverse some of those executive orders that caused this problem? Of course not. He went down to Arizona. He took a picture while he was staring at the border thoughtfully. And then he came home that weekend and went on the Sunday news shows and said, we have a problem, a crisis at the southern border because of Republicans. He said, because we don't support comprehensive immigration reform or some other element that just came out of the Senate, it's all our fault. Forget about what we know the last 3 years. Well, let me tell you why we have a migrant problem, a crisis at the southern border. It's one thing alone. Joe Biden was sworn in as President of the United States. I'm going to switch to my glasses because I want to get these facts right. On day one in office, Biden revoked Trump executive order that prioritized the deportation of aliens who engage in criminal conduct like the migrant who killed Lake and Riley. 1 week into office, Biden declared that the national emergency at the southern border was over. Isn't that great? We're just imagining there's a problem down there. 6 days later, he went for broke. He ended remain in Mexico, reinstituted catch and release, canceled safe third country arrangements in Central America, authorized the parole, quote unquote parole. I don't know, what that means in the terms of people who want to come over the border, but he authorized parole to let more migrants into the United States and just let them go. So basically, Joe Biden ripped out everything that worked in the Trump era. And the gentleman before us gave us some great statistics about the impact, but sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words. Look at that line. What happened is just a couple of months, our encounters at the southern border went through the roof. The green area is when the Democrats had control of Congress and my opponent was in charge of foreign affairs. And just in case, thank you. It wasn't his fault that all these people came here. This is a chart, and this is from the BBC. I didn't make this up, and the BBC doesn't like Trump and Republicans on the whole, so certainly not a biased source in our favor. This is the number of deportations. So millions of more people coming here illegally, way fewer deportations. So all the impacts that people are talking about, all the impacts on our citizens, all the impacts on Gregory Meeks' constituents down here in Queens, Grace Meng's constituents in Queens, these are federal people who can actually solve the problem, we're all paying the price. So, just briefly, what would I do once I got to Congress? I'll keep this short, but first off, I'd support everything that's in H.R. 2. When the Republicans took over, they came up with a package that said, let's work on everything, put back everything President Trump was doing, and then a few more things that make sense. Of course, Chuck Schumer wouldn't take it up in the Senate, and Greg Meeks said, I don't think that's fair to asylum seekers. So the second thing I would do is rewrite the definition of asylum, our asylum rules, because asylum is an important element where someone's being persecuted in a foreign country. It's not a magic abracadabra word. You get to the border and say, asylum, and I'm in. And that's what's happening. Well more than 90% of these people have no basis in fact for claiming asylum, and we're just letting them in and letting them go. That's going to stop, and we're going to fix it so that there's no backdoor way of getting a judge to say, oh, you have to let it keep happening. Third thing, and just touching on again what our speaker said, these cartels are evil people, and we need to be able to take action against them just the way we take action against bad actors in Iran or Russia or anywhere else. So I would sponsor legislation so we could take the fight to them. And then I have some long-term ideas about how we really need to build an America's supply chain. So we get a lot of stuff made in China and other places. We should be having that stuff made in the Americas so people in El Salvador and Honduras have a chance at a better life, and they're not all getting desperate and coming up to the border because Joe Biden's letting them in. But that's way down the line, and frankly, everything else I said about legislation that I'd support doesn't really matter unless Donald Trump gets elected. That has to be our number one priority. Because if he's elected, then a new president can erase what Biden did to us. And that's what we need on day one. We're gonna fight, we'll fight for good legislation, Tom and I will, and that'll take time, but we'll make the country stronger. But we need Donald Trump in the White House, and Donald Trump needs us in Congress so he has a solid Republican majority. And I'm grateful for Danny for having, this is a tremendous issue that's impacting everyone's quality of life, so I'm going to pass it on to Bill, who's also coming to Congress.
Good evening to everybody coming out. Like Paul said, my name is Bill Kregler. I'm running for the US Congress in the 7th district. So we got 5, 6, and 7 here. My district covers parts of Queens and Brooklyn. I think you've heard enough grief for one night.
Who's the opponent?
Is Velasquez. Let me tell you the good part. We're going to win. And that's a simple fact. Right. It is. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up your way. People are angry out there. Everyone is angry out there, not just us here. People are fearful of traveling the streets. They can't go on the buses and train. You don't know who's going to sucker punch your female companions and all that. So it's bad. So I see that coming about, and in November, I think we're going to be raising our hands all in victory. So I'm a pretty easy read. I'd rather have my other fellow candidates, who I thank for stepping up also, to give a whole slate of candidates for you to vote on. If you have any questions after everyone introduce themselves, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Juan Pagan. I am running for State Senate in District 16. Simply, I'm running against John Liu. Yes. Okay. Now, this is a pivotal year. 2024 is critical. We have to take it, all right, if we want to take this country back, okay? Now, John Liu is robbing the people the opportunity to have a choice, okay? This morning, I received two letters, 28 pages each. Liu is taking me to court, Supreme Court, to scrutinize my petitions. He's circumventing the Board of Election hearings, because Board of Election will say, well, Juan Pagan is okay, his petitions are fine. Put him on the ballot, but he's afraid of that. You know, Adolf Hitler in 1933 won chancellor in an election in which his name was the only one on the ballot. So John Liu, I hope you're listening to me, because now I see who inspired you to commit this act of fascism against your own people here in Queens by robbing them of an opportunity to choose. You want to be the only one on the ballot? Well, let's see what happens on court Monday morning. I'll be in court this Monday morning to deal with my Republican line. Then Thursday morning, I'm back in court to deal with my conservative line. Okay? That's okay. That's okay. All right? It just shows how fearful and how horrified the Democrats are of us Republicans and us conservatives, and what we stand for and our values. Okay? So for those of you who pray, keep me in your prayers. I'll be in court Monday morning and Thursday morning to deal with this fascist, communist John Liu. Okay? Thank you.
By the way, you voted in favor of the legislature to strict parental rights. I was in Albany, and he voted in favor of that bill. So children of any age can have any medical procedure. He was there. I was there.
Yes, there are many things that John Liu signed upon in the state legislature that are really meant to demoralize and destabilize society here in New York City, in New York State. So he needs to be defeated, okay? They all need to be defeated. And we got warriors right here who are willing to do it, but we need your help, okay? God bless you, God bless America.
You've heard the rundown. My name is Angelo King, and I'm running for State Assembly of District 27, and that covers College Point, Whitestone, Palmanock, Easthurst, Kew Garden Hills, Kew Gardens, Malba, and a piece of Forest Hills, right? And it includes the park, Flushing Meadow Park. Could you believe that, right? It's like, there's no houses there. They just included it into my district. So my opponent, let me get there, sir. My opponent is Sam Berger. Now, if you look at what's going on, all right, Sam Berger came out of nowhere, all right? He was endorsed by the opponent of Rosenthal, right? And then what they did was they chose him, and they put someone else named David Hirsch to run against him. But David Hirsch never ran before, and he lost that election. One thing is that I ran for the 2022 election, and I got nearly 9,902 people that went out and voted. And I got 42% of the vote, right? Well, I was really shocked. that me being second place didn't have the opportunity to be in the special election. And not only that, there was one thing that I've noticed, right? And I'll tell this gentleman here and everyone else is that he received a lot of support by the state Republican chairman named Ed Cox, which came out in the news that he was a closet Democrat that was putting other people in so they could lose as Republicans, put Republicans to lose, so Democrats to win, right? So he was exposed. He gave David Hirsch every single support that each and every one of our candidates that ran in 2022 that we never got, right? And one thing that I will say is that this year, we're looking at a victory. We're looking at a victory. We're definitely going to win. We're definitely going to go across this finish line this time around. Because the only people that I have, the only resource that I have is you, the people. You make the decision. You can't let John Liu, right? Because John Liu is also my state senator, right? And I support Pagan because Pagan and me together, we take a whole portion of an area. This is like a great team to get together, and I want you guys to support him as well as you can support me. And one of the things is that I am an electrician by trade. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a career politician. Why am I in politics? Because years ago, someone told me I couldn't do certain things. They took me out of a job because I wasn't vaccinated. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? Why are you threatening my job? Because I refuse to take the vaccinations. My life changed, and I said, you know, I have to stay with my integrity. I make a decision of my body, my medical freedom, right? No one should decide what you should do. They work for us. We delegated them that position. They don't tell us what to do. We tell them what to do. And one of the things is that we have to pursue education. Educate yourself. Find out what it is, how the government works. What is the function of the government? They are delegated and voted by us. The people that are up there are supposed to be responsible in keeping your safety. Have they been responsible in keeping our safety? Look where we are right now. We're afraid of walking into a train. We're afraid to take the bus because some crazy illegal or someone's going to attack someone out of nowhere, bring people from other countries to this place, squatting in your house and arresting the person for changing the locks who owns the house. That's disgraceful. It's crazy. It's insane. You go to Florida for a couple days and one day you come to your house, somebody else is living in there. I'm sorry, what do you mean you live there? I live there. This is insanity. The police are afraid to do their jobs. I'm going to be honest with that. Because they're being restricted. There's prostitution. There's a lot of young people smoking marijuana. Years ago, you smoked marijuana, man, you was in. But we see this now. I know it's legal, but it's getting out of control. We have fentanyl, we have all types of drugs out there. And the police, their hands are tied. And it's like, you're on your own. You are on your own. And I have to protect my family, as well as everyone else to do. The only way we can make a change is to get rid of these people that are there. Vote them out. Vote them out. That's the peaceful way of removing a politician out, a career politician, that doesn't look for your interest. I'm going up there because I want to do something for our interest, our regular people, because I'm a regular person. I have not, I don't have a Harvard degree. I don't have any of that because nothing in the Constitution says you have to Harvard degree to be able to get into any position in the United States. Anyone, even a janitor could be the president of the United States. But you got these people who are elitists who believe that because they have a degree, that they have this, they feel that their intellect is superior to us. And they think we're stupid. We're not stupid. We have common sense. Because you have all the degrees in the world. And if you have no common sense, The whole place is in shambles. And New York State is in shambles. The only way change can happen is through you. Right? I had a plan to say something else, but I will tell you, the reason why I'm running is because I love New York. And I want to stay and fight for New York. I want to be that voice up there to say, hey, wait a minute, that's unconstitutional. And have the Constitution right there to compare what these laws are doing, because all it's doing is violating our freedom. Yes. They want to actually, look, right now, they're going after Trump. They're going after Trump because Trump is in the way.
Yes.
If we don't vote these people out, guess what? We lose a country. They'll come after me. They'll come after everybody here for being Republican. This is where we at. Years ago when I was a kid, when you was a Republican or a Democrat, people used to debate a little bit. You're a Democrat. It's like a baseball game, all right? No one got offended because you were a Democrat or a Republican. Look at where we're at right now. We're divided. And that's what these people want to do, divide us, confuse us, keep us ignorant. Right? But eventually we're waking up. A lot of people are waking up. They're seeing that our freedom is being taken away, bit by bit. And now it's being accelerated. And now we can see who they are. They know who they are. They know who I am. But I'm not gonna lay down and let these people do whatever they want to do. I want to fight for you guys. I want to fight for you guys. I came in, my family came into this country in April 6th of this month in 1974 to live the American dream. America gave us the freedom, gave us the economical opportunity to gain what we need. And I was poor, but I learned that I have to work hard for what I have to do, regardless of the situation, and learn from my failures and become strong, right? Take it, go, move forward, not letting anyone turn me down, put me back because of my color, my skin. But I moved forward, and I'm here. And I want to pay back New York for what they have done for me in my life. God bless.
You got it, dog.
That was a fantastic speech, by the way. So good evening, everybody. My name is Brendan Castro. I'm a candidate for State Assembly here in Queens, District 30. My opponent is Steven Raga. So that includes the communities of Woodside, Maspeth, and Elmhurst. And I see we have a big problem when it comes to the Queens GOP, or I guess just like the New York scene overall. We don't get press, it's very hard to find. If you speak like the casual person right down the street, they don't know who's running. They don't know whether it's left or right, but especially if they're a conservative going up to, if you're to look up our name, like we have no idea who that is. Oh, I heard that they're crazy, next. And that is so sad. So that's why I wanted to run. I saw that there was no one else going for this seat. I thought that it was quite a plausible one. We actually do have like a pretty good chance, especially the fact that we actually have a slate. Look at all of these candidates. Even like this latter half, diversity is here, right? This is what they want to see. So I thought that, so this is a part of the party that I can fill. This is a problem that I can solve here. I see that we have a problem when it comes to marketing our message out. The Democrats kick our ass day in, day out, every day, every week, especially online. When it comes to people, I just graduated last year, so I'm only 24. I know I need a lot more life experience and like all of that shit. Very true, very true. And I'm learning a lot too. Like I made a lot of mistakes during like my first month already, but that's fine. As long as I'm out there speaking to people, interacting with a bunch of the other candidates here, a bunch of candidates that are not here too. I'm just working with everybody, So, but that's what we have to do. We have to be there. If they can see us, if they can hear us, if we can get somewhat of that balance and dialogue, that's the minimum that we need for our causes to be heard. And I can do that all day. I can speak to all of the businesses, all of the families, because a lot of things that we are campaigning on are things that they've been campaigning about for years on end. You talk about the prostitution. There's a prostitution. If you go under like the Roosevelt Avenue, 61st, 69, even beyond that, under like the train station there, you see it. It's as clear as day. People have been complaining about it. Business owners have been complaining about it because children, families do not want to walk there. They see how it's a huge problem. Families do not want, they don't want their children. Business owners, people do not go visit their sites. the women who work there too, they might be confused by someone like the drunk men because they think that they're there asking for sex. It's absolutely terrible. I have heard it all. And I've read like the transcripts. I've been a part of those meetings. I've been a part of like the roundtables there. And they do nothing to address those very same problems. It's not just that, but like the garbage dumping is absolutely terrible. The illegal vendors, you might spend tens and thousands of dollars opening up a business, blood, sweat, and tears just for someone to undercut your prices, and they're trying to come up with a concessions agreement to title them, not as an illegal vendor, but find a way to deal with them without giving them the right punishment for that. And it's absolutely terrible. The crime is running rampant too. It's a lot of these things that whether you're left or right, you just need to have a little bit of responsibility, whether it be a homeowner, a business owner, a parent, even someone graduating from college like me. You understand how important these things are. And I felt like that really wasn't being discussed enough. And that's the least that I could do. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes here, now, prior, and going forward too. But the least that I could do is use the energy, the youth, and everything that I have. The team that I have, we have a campaign team of around 25 people. They're all young, everyone below the age of 25 too. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's like nothing wrong no matter how old you are. But the stereotype that people have long put under the GOP is that you have to look a certain way, and they're like, oh, a Republican, I see the R next to their name, I'm not gonna vote. That has to change. And that's the least that I could do. You know, there's a lot of Hispanics who just look at one here too, you know. I don't care about the identity thing. I never cared for it. But we gotta play their game, and we can play it just as hard. You know, there's a lot like so I come from an Ecuadorian household. And so at least most of my family was the Ecuadorian side or the Dominican side too. Around 30 of them, and they're saying they're all gonna vote right-wing this time around. And that's just a small anecdote, but that shows just how much leverage we have. That shows how our message is really going out there. And it's up to all of us here, it's up to candidates to really go out there, speak to those people, and speak to them. Remember, when I market myself, if you have any of my flyers, I'm not the Republican candidate, I'm a candidate for state assembly because we have to win. We're running in New York City. So I'm doing everything possible. I'm out there day in, day out doing outreach, speaking to the businesses. And when I tell you we have the Bengali community, we have the Hispanic community, we have the Chinese community, the Filipino community is probably gonna be a bit hard one to beat because my opponent is one. He's the guy, right? He's the Filipino guy. But I don't care. Our message works. And it works no matter what side you're on, no matter what you look like, male, female, whatever, right? So that's what I could do. I'm in this for the long run, you know? This is an election year, so everybody goes out to vote. Right wing, left wing, and there's a lot more Democrats. It's my job to get my voice heard to the moderates, to the ones that are not registered either. But that means that it's always gonna be harder for us up there. I mean, I'm not like even gonna be honest, every single one of us has an uphill battle, whether it's a seat like mine where they voted 45% for Zeldin, or it's a seat like his where they also voted over 40% too. It's an uphill battle because there's a lot more of them than there are of us. But the least that we could do is be everywhere, because that's how we've gotten upsets here. And whether we win or lose this time around, and I actually do believe that all of us here actually have a chance to win. But whether we win or lose, 2026, 28, 2030 will look that much better for us. I always believe we should have somebody up, no matter how likely or unlikely that seat is. And I'm in here for the long run. I can take the bullets. I don't have children. I don't have, you know, I have like obviously things to put at stake. I have to sacrifice my regular, you know, my safe city job for this too. So I've had city service prior, tons of internships and jobs too. So I really try to get myself involved out there. So there's sacrifices I have to make. There's nowhere near the sacrifices that anybody here has to make. But I'm in this for the long run. So no matter what happens this year, I'm gonna make them terrified. Just online, we have almost 1,000 followers in just 2 weeks of us getting on the ballot officially. Now I'm telling you, I'll be out there. I'll be interviewing them right on the street. They're gonna know who I am. Who is that kid over there? You see his hair? Like, who is that? So I get pointed at constantly. I don't know if they hate me or not, but it works. You know, I can't speak to everybody, but this is how we win. We gotta play their game. We gotta do the marketing just like them. I can get people places, and I wanna work with every single candidate here. I've actually met many of them. I've seen all of them like plenty of times, right? But again, I'm working with candidates, all types of candidates. I'm learning a lot from doing that too, but that's how we win. No matter who you are, what seat you are running for, we need people out there. That's how we win. I can promise you I will do everything in my power to make sure that we change the way things are run here. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Next we have Bill Shanahan, who's running for civil court judge. Queens County, countywide.
Hello, everyone. You know, I'm so used to being in court. You always stand when you speak in court. It's almost like a reaction to stand, but I'm going to sit. There's not much difference between when I'm sitting or standing anyway. But I recognize many of you. It's a pleasure to be here again. I've seen so many people here that have helped me in the past, helped me last year. If I didn't get a chance to say thank you last year, I wanted to say thank you for helping me last year. But what I represent on this platform is hope and optimism. To everyone on this board here, especially Mr. King, I can say this. Last year, I got 49% in a district that is, thank you, which is 7-3 or 8-2 Democrat. Now, what does that tell me? It tells me that we can win, that the tide is turning. We did fantastic in North Queens last year, and this year we're going to try to do fantastic in North Queens and South Queens. And you can see already it's changing. In South Queens, I get a lot of people that are telling me they're not voting Democrat this year. So it's so important to tell people to vote all the way down the aisle, down the column. You know, I said 2 years ago when Lee Zeldin ran, if people would have voted right down the column, I would have won. It would have been a huge win for me. But people stop. They vote for the person on the top. And you have to vote for every Republican from top to bottom.
Start at the bottom.
Or start at the bottom. Start with William David Shanahan.
Those are the elected officials that actually impact your life the most. Think about it.
And it really, you know, I see it every day. I'm in court every day. I see, you know, people with problems, landlord-tenant court, criminal cases. I see it all. And it's the little guy that's getting kicked around right now. It's the landlord who's trying to make a living. And you're seeing that it's taken 2-3 years to get into landlord-tenant court. I mean, I go into court, criminal court all the time, and in Queens, I had a case the other day. You don't even have to discuss it with the DA. You walk in and they say, look on the calendar, and there's all the list of defendants that they're getting their cases dismissed. What kind of cases? Shoplifting, trespassing, drugs, misdemeanor assaults. Everything just gets dismissed. It's the quality of life crimes. And you know, people complain about the bail laws, but let me tell you, people don't really understand what they did a few years ago when they reformed the bail laws. It wasn't just the bail laws, it was the discovery laws. That's what's killing everyone, because the bail is okay. The person gets out. That doesn't mean you can't prosecute that person. You can still prosecute them. But what is happening is the DA has to make a calculation. How do we best spend our resources? Do we spend it on prosecuting misdemeanors or felonies? So what the legislature did years ago with the discovery laws, they said every piece of discovery, every document, every video, anything you can think of has to be turned over within 90 days of the arrest. And if you don't, the case has to be dismissed. So now they have half the office working to get paperwork from the police officers, videos, and God forbid you forget to turn something over. The Court of Appeals just ruled a couple of weeks ago that if they forget to turn over one piece of paper, it doesn't matter whether they have good faith or not. The case has to be dismissed. So what the DAs are doing, they're not prosecuting anyone on misdemeanors. They're putting their resources to the felonies. But that's quality of life. So what we need to do when these fellas get up to the Assembly and the United States Congress and every place else is make sure that the laws change for us, not the criminals. They emptied out Rikers Island, and it's ironic. They were so worried about people being imprisoned that we're imprisoned by our fears. We're afraid to be driving at night on the highways. We're afraid to be, God forbid, a fight breaks out. We're afraid to be good Samaritans. And so they have imprisoned us with our fears. So let's hope that the tide is turning, and I believe it is. Like I said, I got 49%. I needed 500 people to flip last year, and I would have been wearing a robe right now. So what we're trying again this year we're going to do it again. I tell you, I have right now. There's 4 opponents. We're not sure who I'm running against. So we'll find out. Now, it'll be 2 Democrats against 1 Republican. So you get 2 votes, and it's important to vote just for me, not split your vote. Because even though you get 2 votes, you gotta make sure that you only vote for the Republican. Thank you. Yes, sir. Hi.
What is it you're running for?
I am running for civil court judge. Now, the way it works is if you get elected to the civil court bench, they can either put you in civil court, which is landlord-tenant court, small claims, civil court, or criminal court. I was a prosecutor for 10 years. A majority of my experience is in the criminal field. So I would think more likely than not, I would be put on the criminal court bench. The woman I ran against last year, who won, had never been in a courtroom in her life. She never practiced law. She was found unqualified by the New York City Bar and the Queens County Bar, and she's sitting in landlord-tenant court now.
We have one more candidate, Ruben Cruz, who'll be running our YouTube right now live.
Hey everyone, my name is Ruben Cruz. I'm running for State Assembly, District 24 against Weprin. Weprin. But I'm here actually to apologize, because when you're not seeing what you're doing, just like you're voting, you need to make sure that you're reading the fine print. And apparently, I signed a petition against my good friend Tom Zmich without looking. Because we're all in this together, so you just, hey, can you sign? Yeah, you're not looking at it. So, Tom, I apologize. Me culpa, no entendido, no sé lo que pasó. But that's how we support each other. 2 years ago, we formed a little group called the Candidate Caucus. That was Daniel, Mr. King, Mr. Pagan, Mr. Zmich, and we tried to get the other king. We got 2 kings here today, and Sullivan involved. But the idea was that we supported each other. We went out in the field together. We interviewed each other. So there's YouTube videos of some pretty good videos. We took headshots together from our friend over here, who, because I'm nervous right now, I can't remember your name.
Charlie. It's Charlie.
No, Starsky.
Ay, caramba.
Ay, caramba. No sé lo que me pasa en mi mente, que se fue todo. But I think it's important that we own up to our mistakes and put it out publicly, because that's how we strengthen our friendships and our relationships with each other. So what can I do in the State Assembly? There's a lot of issues to talk about. But I know each and every one of you, when you get out of here tonight, you're going to walk by a place that's going to upset you. What place is that?
Right here, because I want to know which district you represent. So I'm upset because you didn't tell me.
Absolutely. It's State Assembly District 24, which is roughly from Richmond Hill.
24?
24.
24 State Assembly?
That's correct. David Weprin. It's Dave, right? Not his
Ghost.
name.
The ghost.
Yeah, he's not around. And it goes up to, it goes far, like almost touching Nassau County. But something that we pass by every day that I know annoys all of us are these smoke shops. Now, Hochul and company announced that they're just about finished closing their budget, if they didn't already. And they've assigned whatever $0.1 billion to addressing the illegal shops. Here's the funny thing. Aren't they the ones that legalized it in the first place? That's the problem we have in our government right now, is they set up these licenses for CBD licenses and for the cannabis licenses. The CBD licenses allows them to open up these shops, not sell cannabis. First of all, why would you have two different licenses? It was just really done poorly, without planning. And let's face it, I've spoken to our local precinct, 2 precincts, and their hands are tied for the most part. Why do we need, I don't know, 1.2 million to deal with these illegal shops? Just give our precincts permission to close them down. We're saving money, let's just do it. So that's an issue that I have. And we all know that it's annoying, and we could do something about it really simply, and that's what I do. I look around and I say, hey, why are we doing that? And then let enough people know, and we vote on it and get it done. So my focus is going to be on making sure that those thousands of shops in our city already get closed down. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, before we get to question and answers, I want to give you basically a preview of what's going to happen in November. Robert Skoreka is the poll site coordinator doing the presidential elections there. He wanted to give you some feedback what's happened in the field, and I think it's going to reflect what's going to happen in November. Now, the presidential election was, of course, primary, was held in April 6th, and he just take one, pass it down. You know? So go ahead, Robert. You want to give us your field report?
I'm Robert Skoreka.